How do you earn a great letter of recommendation? Here's what everyone gets wrong. They assume that the best recommendation letters get written for the quote-unquote best students, like the smartest in the class or the highest grade. That's not what leads to a great recommendation. In fact, the best recommendation letters come from relationships. You don't want a professor to write, "They completed the assignments on time." That's not going to help you. You want a professor to write, "I know this student, I've watched her work, I believe in her." How are you going to build that kind of relationship? Well, here are a few things that make a difference beyond the obvious of just being a genuinely engaged student. First, follow up on feedback. And not to argue a grade, in fact, never to argue a grade. You want to follow up in order to learn. Second, I love when my students connect class to life. If you can send me a note or mention in passing something you learned in class that helped you outside of the classroom, amazing. It shows you understand the purpose of me teaching, which isn't so you can just regurgitate materials back to me. It's so that you can use the information I give you in the world beyond school. And third, ask real questions. Not the kind where you're trying to sound smart or impress us. I want you to ask me the kinds of questions that show you're actually curious about the material, questions that make me think. Nothing really sticks with a professor like a student who makes us think too. And that shows up in the letters we ultimately write. Anyway, my main piece of advice here isn't that everyone should run out and become best friends with their professors. Please don't do that. We don't need to be besties. But what matters is that if you want a letter that says more than "this student met expectations," you have to give your teacher something worth remembering. If we remember you, trust me, we're going to want to write you the best letter we possibly can.